Hi, I'm Tanya Meeks. And so I committed to doing stories on YouTube for 365 days a year, honoring my friend Dwayne Calizo, who passed away, who did that a song a day. And I announced it on our Motherhood podcast with Quinn Brown Huffman. And then I fell off. I fell off the wagon, got off the wagon. I've been sober 19 years, so not that wagon. And I am committed to showing up and telling these stories. And the piece that I want to start sharing is for a new one woman show, which is basically a play where I play all the parts called The Wild West. So I'm a single mom by choice, which basically means I had a kid buying some sperm from a sperm bank and did an IUI, but you could do an IVF or IUI. It was successful. I have an amazing son. I have always done shows about what's happening in my life. And so the piece that I want to honor is my son in telling his story and our adventures. And that is complex now because he's presenting things that seem like I'm a depth psychotherapist, generalized anxiety disorder, OCD, ASD, Asperger's, all of those things potentially, or maybe he's just highly intuitive. But there's some stuff in navigating the world with a child that has quirks and sensitivities and preferences has been complex, and something I didn't even know was so complex until it got kind of debilitating to some extent. And it's like, how do I do a show about what's real on my heart right now? And what's real on my heart right now is that I don't know what it is. And I'm going to this church called Light Church, which is like also a big leap because I was always spiritual, but resistant to organized religion. So I did a lot. I mean, I did Kabbalah, I did spiritual programs, I did Agape in LA, I worked with spiritual healers, but never a Christian church, just because my grandparents had this Baptist kind of fear, God with the pearly gates and condemning people who are sinning to hell. And because my mom had complex issues and my brother was gay, there was like lots of people that I love that were going to go to this place of being condemned by God. So we landed at this church by accident, and the last service was about prayer and being intercessors for prayer. And what I realized in that is that I was in San Francisco and I was struggling with my own addiction. This was 20 something years ago. And I ended up wondering, I was, on Union Street, had brunch with some roommates and girlfriends. Everything looked good. And then I felt this deep sadness in the pit of my core of my soul. And I just went into this church and it was so beautiful. And there was stained glass windows and the light shining in. And I prayed. I prayed to understand my addiction and to navigate out of that. And it was like this comfort, like this warm, cozy blanket was just like held me. And it's funny, in this church now, we were supposed to go to another church to heal, like it was a non-denominational. And I just was like, no, we're supposed to go there. And it has been the most amazing, beautiful journey. So this show really is going to be about prayer and this journey with my son. I am leaning into, just like in my early recovery, to God showing me through prayer what steps I need to take. Am I taking action and seeing all the people, psychiatrists, therapists, developmental folks, neurologists, all of the things? So it doesn't mean I'm not taking action, but it means that I'm letting God guide me on what needs to happen or what's really going on. And so it still will have, I'm going to record this video and then I'm going to have my mom from the other side, that character, come through. But it really, there's some funny tales. Like I was just sharing on our Motherhood podcast of how when we went on a plane, he would be like, you can't sit next to me. If he just had like an uncomfortable feeling or for whatever reason, he's been so particular about where he sits on a plane, who sits next to us, how we navigate that, all of these rituals and systems. And I have been kind of this, magic maker, making all these things happen. And it's funny and complex, and I want to start telling those stories. So this is like the preliminary kind of setup for the next stories that will come. Just like Anne Lamont in her book Operating Instructions, where she shared like a diary thing of first year with her son. I'm just going to share a day in the life, see what happens. And this will go into a one-woman show, which will be on stage with lights and music and all that jazz. So it will have a beginning, middle, and end, not just monologues, costume changes, and the whole 9 yards. So big love to you all. I'm grateful to be here, and stay tuned for more about all these pieces. Big love.